In this video, I'm going to show you every single one of the F3 tools. Now, you may have seen some of these already in some people's videos. Things like setting a visual hitbox to be visible around every entity, visible chunk borders, being able to see the exact durability left on your tools, among other useful details, and many more cool things. So let's get into that. The first of the F3 tools is F3 itself. So by hitting F3 on the keyboard, this will pull up a bunch of tools like your memory usage, PC specs, frame rate, but most notably your coordinates in the world. And this is closed with F3 as well. You can also load up additional graphs that can tell you more stuff. At the same time you press F3, you press the number key, you press either 1, 2, or 3. When you press F3 and 1 at the same time, it'll pull up the pie chart. F3 and 2 pulls up the FPS and TPS graph. And F3 plus 3 shows up the bandwidth graph. These graphs are very technical things, so I won't be getting too far into how they work. If you want, I can make a video just about these. But now on to the more widely useful tools. We have what are referred to as the debug hotkeys. Like the debug screen graphs from a second ago, these can be pulled up by hitting F3 at the same time as a specific key. The first on the list is F3 plus A, which will reload all the chunks in the world. If something isn't rendering quite right for you, you might want to hit this. Now for less powerful computers, be careful because this might cause the game to have extra processing that it needs to do and may cause the game to freeze for a little bit, or even crash. Up next is the one I use the most, which is F3 plus B, which outlines a mob's hitbox. For most mobs, the main hitbox is this white part here. The red line right there is where their eye level is at, and then the blue line is showing which direction they are looking. So if I spawn in an Enderman here, if I look above the red line, this is where it will get angry at me. And it's not just mobs that have the hitbox, but any entities, minecarts, paintings, items, experience orbs, projectiles, and end crystals. And while we're in the end, this is a good time to point out that the Ender Dragon does not have a regular hitbox like all the other mobs, as inside the regular white box, we have a whole bunch of little green boxes, and in these green boxes, this is the part you have to hit if you want to deal damage. Most notably the box around the head, where damage done there just 4 times more than usual. And to toggle hitboxes off again, just hit the same hotkey that you used to enable it in the first place. That'll be true for all the visual tools found here. Moving on, we have F3 and C, which will copy your location to your clipboard, allowing you to paste this information somewhere else. Now this won't just copy your regular coordinates. Instead, when you paste it, you'll find that it will run an execute command, which will end up teleporting you to the exact location you were in the same dimension, including the same point you were looking at when you copied your location, which can be pretty useful if you want to take a before and after screenshot from the exact same position. Now, throughout the course of this video, I've run a lot of commands and a lot of different things have popped up in my chat. With our next one, F3 and D, that will clear the entire chat. Now you can still have access to previous commands you have run with the up and down arrow keys, but the big block of text right here will now be gone. Which, come to think of it, would be a great way to fake the fact that you set your game mode to creative to sneak in a few diamonds or so without anyone noticing. And now nobody will ever know. Next we have a very useful one, F3 and G, which will outline the chunk borders. These are the 16 by 16 block chunks that the world is made up of. There are many different things in Minecraft where knowing the chunk is important. Most notably, these are slime chunks. If you find some slime spawning underground, you can turn on the chunk borders and figure out which Minecraft chunk they spawned in, and you have found a slime chunk. This is a rare type of chunk that can spawn slimes below Y40, which is very useful to know if you want to make a slime farm. The next item on the list is F3 plus H. This will turn on advanced tooltips. This is really nice for tools. Looking at tools with advanced tooltips hidden will just show the name and maybe the attack damage and speed. Turning it on will show you some more technical stuff at the bottom, but more importantly, if it has durability, it will show you the exact durability on the item. So here we have 58 out of 59. It's down 1 durability when I just whacked this horse. But that 58 means that I can use it 58 more times. There are some actions that will take away extra durability, like mining something with the wrong tool. But if you're doing things correctly, then this will show you how many uses you have left in your tool. Now here I am surrounded by a bunch of horses. Now horses, they have a whole bunch of different interesting stats with them. Their speed, jump height, and what they look like. As you can see, there's multiple different looking horses right here. If I grab the spawn egg from one, it'll spawn a horse with random values. So they will all look different. However, if you really need a horse that shares all the same values as this horse right here, maybe you're wanting to make a horse race where all the horses are the same speed so everything is fair, or you need a whole bunch of axolotls but only yellow ones, or other things like that, then while looking at the entity we want to copy, hit F3 and I, and this will copy all that entity's data to your clipboard. If you copy this into the command bar, then it will be too long to run, so we'll have to resort to command blocks. You see, command blocks don't have a limit to the amount of characters that they can have in them, so you can paste in a command as long as you want. And now, every time I hit this button, it will summon a replica of the mob I wanted to copy. Now, it also copies things like its location and which direction it's looking in, so every time I hit this button, it will appear in the same spot. Now our next debug hotkey, unlike the ones before, won't be able to be used in a survival world without cheats enabled. It's more of a creative mode tool, and this is F3 plus N, which will switch your game mode to spectator. This is a bit similar to creative mode, except you can't interact with the world. You can fly through blocks, and a whole bunch of really other cool things, and this can all be toggled with the F3 plus N. Now similarly, our next one is a bit interesting. While holding F3, we can hit F4 at the same time once, and this will pull up our game mode selector. We can just hit F4 again, and this will select the next option. And the moment you take your hand off of F3, this will set you to whatever game mode you have selected. F3 plus P will toggle pause on lost focus. If you switch to another window on your computer while Minecraft is still open, this will make it so that it won't load up the menu with the quit button, which pauses the game, which allows you to have the game running while doing other things, allowing you to run your iron farm while doing your taxes or editing YouTube videos, or subscribing to YouTube videos. Now our next one is a bit interesting. F3 plus S will dump dynamic textures into your screenshots folder. Fortunately, this is in its own separate folder within the screenshots folder, but what this does is it uploads textures that aren't found regularly within the regular folders of the game code. Things like skins and capes, world icons, things that can change without the entire game needing an update. Now our next one's a big one. F3 plus T will reload your resource packs. This is incredibly useful if you are working on making your own custom resource pack. If you've tweaked something with how the blocks work, you can hit F3 plus T, and that will do all of that, which will automatically just update the world to reflect your new changes within your resource pack. F3 plus V will load into the chat your client version info, showing things like which version of the game you are running, what time and day that Minecraft version came out, along with a few other bits of information. F3 plus escape only works if you're in single player mode, and this will pause the game without loading the pause menu. It'll show up at the top text that says game paused, and I'm not exactly sure why you'd need to use this, but it's there if you need a better way of pausing the game. And our last debug hotkey brings us back to the main debug screen itself. there was a recent update that made the debug screen a whole lot less cluttered. However, in doing that, they also remove a whole bunch of different lines of information that you may have found useful earlier. Now, hitting F3 along with F6 at the same time will open up the debug customization screen. This will give you every possible information line, most of which are turned off. But if I want to know what biome I'm in, then I can go and switch to in overlay, and this will add it to the debug screen here, right under my frame rate. It shows I am in the savanna biome. Or you can switch it to always, which will show that info line even when the main debug menu has been disabled. And that is every single one of the regular debug hotkeys, what they do, and how to use them. If you found this video useful, make sure to subscribe, let me know which tool is your favorite, and I shall see you in the next one.